Introduction. In the chaotic final months of World War II, as Nazi Germany collapsed under the advancing Soviet forces, one of the most devastating maritime disasters in history unfolded in the icy waters of the Baltic Sea. The sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff was not just a wartime tragedy, it was a human catastrophe of unimaginable scale. Unlike more widely remembered disasters such as the Titanic sinking, the Gustloff tragedy remains relatively unknown outside historical circles. Yet in terms of loss of life, it far surpasses any other shipwreck in history. This essay explores the origins, events, and aftermath of the sinking, placing it within the broader context of war, desperation, and human suffering. Background of the Wilhelm Gustloff. Originally launched in 1937, the Wilhelm Gustloff was a German cruise ship operated by the Nazi organization Kraft durch Freude, Strength Through Joy. The ship was designed to provide affordable vacations to German workers, symbolizing the regime's propaganda efforts. Named after Wilhelm Gustloff, the vessel initially served as a luxury liner, complete with modern amenities and accommodations for over 1,400 passengers. However, with the outbreak of war, the ship's role changed dramatically. It was converted into a hospital ship and later used as a floating barracks for German naval personnel. Operation Hannibal, a desperate evacuation. By early 1945, Soviet forces were advancing rapidly into East Prussia. Millions of German civilians were fleeing westward to escape the Red Army. In response, Nazi authorities launched Operation Hannibal, one of the largest maritime evacuations in history. The Wilhelm Gustloff became part of this operation, tasked with transporting refugees, wounded soldiers, and military personnel to safer territories. Overcrowding and chaos. On January 30th, 1945, the ship departed from the port of Gotenhafen, modern-day Gdynia, Poland. Designed for around 1,500 passengers, the ship was loaded with over 10,000 people. The passengers included women and children fleeing the Soviet advance, wounded soldiers, naval cadets, and civilian refugees. Conditions on board were chaotic. Hallways, decks, and even swimming pools were filled with people. The freezing winter weather added to the misery. The Soviet attack. That same evening, the Soviet submarine S-13, commanded by Alexander Marensko, spotted the Wilhelm Gustloff. Despite the presence of civilians, the ship was considered a legitimate military target due to its role in transporting military personnel. At approximately 9:16 p.m., 3 torpedoes struck the ship. The sinking. The impact was devastating. Within minutes, the ship lost power. Panic spread among passengers. Lifeboats became inaccessible. The freezing waters of the Baltic Sea ensured that survival time was extremely short, often just minutes. Within about 45 minutes, the massive ship sank beneath the icy waves. Human tragedy. The human cost of the disaster is staggering. Estimated passengers, 10,000 plus. Estimated deaths, around 9,000. Many victims were women and children. Entire families were lost. Survivors described horrifying scenes. People jumping into freezing water, children separated from parents, lifeboats capsizing due to overcrowding. Why was the loss so high? Several factors contributed to the high death toll. Number 1, extreme overcrowding. The ship was carrying far more people than it was designed for. Number 2, freezing temperatures. The Baltic Sea in winter is lethal. Hypothermia sets in within minutes. Number 3, lack of lifeboats. There were not enough lifeboats for all passengers. Number 4, panic and disorder. With no organized evacuation, chaos quickly took over. Comparison with the Titanic. The sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff is often compared with the RMS Titanic. Factor: Titanic, Wilhelm Gustloff. Year: 1912, 1945. Deaths, 1,500, 9,000. Cause, iceberg. Torpedo attack. Context, peacetime, wartime. Despite the greater loss of life, the Gustloff tragedy is far less known, largely because it occurred during wartime and involved Nazi Germany. Moral and historical complexity. The tragedy raises difficult moral questions. While the victims were largely civilians, they were part of a nation engaged in a brutal war. The Soviet attack, though devastating, was considered militarily justified. This duality makes the event complex. Victims were innocent, the ship was a military target. Aftermath and legacy. In the aftermath, rescue efforts saved around 1,200 people. Thousands of bodies were never recovered. The disaster had little impact on the outcome of the war, but it left a lasting scar on survivors and historians. Today, the wreck lies at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, serving as a war grave. Why is it not widely known? Several reasons explain its relative obscurity. It occurred during the final chaotic months of World War II. Germany's defeat overshadowed individual tragedies. Post-war narratives focused on Nazi crimes. Conclusion. The sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of war. It is a story of desperation, survival, and tragedy on a massive scale. Though often overlooked, it deserves recognition as the deadliest maritime disaster in history. It reminds us that even in war, the greatest losses are often borne by civilians, caught in circumstances beyond their control.
Wir sinken, beeilt euch!